Hey Band Network Leadership Series.
Welcome to the Hey Band Network. This is a leadership series, and today we have a guest from Sioux Falls, South Dakota, Mr. Dan Carlson from Lincoln High School. Welcome to the Hey Band.
Hey, thank you very much. Thanks for having me.
Hey man, it's excited. You and I go back several years from our younger days of being in band and summer activities. But now you're a head director at Lincoln High School, fantastic program in the northern part of the country. You've been there, I think, 21 years. Is that correct?
That is correct.
So
started in 99.
Awesome. And then something our viewers want to know is that the first 14 years you taught with your dad. He was the head director and you were his assistant. And then when he retired, you took over, correct?
That is correct. Yeah. So, we started back in 99 and he was my band director, obviously, all the way through elementary, middle school, and high school. And he taught in a small town in southwest Minnesota, in Pipestone, Minnesota. And then they hired us together, actually, as a father-son hire. And I can't imagine them doing that nowadays, but back then they sure did. And it was a great thing because I was basically had an apprenticeship for all those years, and just got to watch him work, and I got to avoid a lot of the first and second and third and fourth year mistakes that a lot of people don't have the ability to avoid. So it's pretty cool.
And for those that aren't familiar with the Lincoln program, I know I've seen the program do. I know you guys have done St. Louis BOA a lot in the fall. I know you've done Grand Nats once. Tell us about the band program up there, how many kids are involved, all your different ensembles that you have.
Absolutely. The band program, really, the marching part of it has been established since the late 70s. And it's actually only had, before me, 4 other head directors. So it's been pretty consistent. About every 10 to 12 years has been turnover, but I've been there for a long time now. It's at the highest peak of numbers, we had 365 in the band, and that was my second year at Lincoln, and it was just a massive group. We're kind of floating between that I would say 230 to 260 range right now, and that's been pretty consistent for the last few years in the marching band. We started competing at the BOA level in 2014, and we've done St. Louis, most of those years. We did Indianapolis back in 2018 for the one and only time, but it was a great experience down there as well. So.
And then talk about your concert band program. What's the setup, or is marching band a part of your concert program, or how does that all work in?
Yeah. So marching band is actually totally extracurricular in our band program. So we have a 2-semester system at our school. It's standard scheduling. So we have 7 periods a day. Marching band, we actually meet in the mornings and in the evenings. So it's totally outside of the school day, but we do rehearse in the concert band periods for the first, month and a half of the school year with all the marchers. It's not a requirement to be in marching band at Lincoln. So I would say probably 85 to 90% of the students do participate in the marching band. We have our top audition band is our symphonic band. Our second audition band is our concert band. And then we have 2 periods of varsity band that consist of 10th through 12th graders that either didn't audition for an upper band or didn't make an upper band. And then we have a freshman band, which is probably our largest band. So most of the freshmen go into freshman band. A few of them can audition and make one of the top 2 bands. It keeps us pretty busy during the day. We have 5 periods of concert bands. We have 3 jazz bands that meet over opposing lunch hours. So it's either jazz lunch or lunch jazz. And the top 2 of those jazz bands are audition groups. Our third jazz band consists the last couple of years of about 40 people. So it's just this monstrosity of a jazz band. But, they get some basic skills, a lot of secondary instruments in that group. I want to learn how to play trombone. So I'm going to join Jazz 3 and learn how to play trombone, whatever. So, we just try to include as many people as possible. The marching band is a non-auditioned band, except for color guard and drumline. Front ensemble, we audition who's on what part, obviously. But for everybody else, if you want to join, you can join. So.
Awesome. What a cool music ed program it sounds like that you have going on up there with the different opportunities for the kids. let's talk about the staff and the folks that help make this happen besides yourself at Lincoln High School.
Yeah, we have, as far as like marching band staff, we have a summer staff where each section will have a section tech, and they'll work on the music all summer long on a normal year. Got to use those asterisks this year. And then we have a marching person that actually does all of the sections, so that it's as consistent as possible. And so the students will have a weekly sectional, and they'll work on marching, on music, and then we'll do some conditioning as well. So it's all cumulative toward band camp. We call it SPAC camp. I don't know why it's been called SPAC camp since way before my time, and I have not changed it. But so we lead up to that, late July deadline where we start our camp. We have then a lot of those people will carry over into band camp, but we also have a whole bunch of other people that come in on board at that point as well that will work, visually, musically, and I would say overall our entire staff consists of probably about 25 to 30 people on any given year. When it all washes out, I think we have about 5 people on drumline staff, usually 2 to 3 people on color guard staff. The rest are section techs, marching, and music. So.
And do you have any staff at the high school to help you out?
It's kind of a co-directorship. I teach with another awesome band director named Sam Anderson. We've taught together since my dad retired back in 2013 now. So we've been together for 7 years.
Oh, very cool. All right. Well, we want to talk about leadership and how you all deal with your leadership program. So give us a little idea of the structure of your leadership program.
Absolutely. We have kind of a hierarchy, it's obviously marching band is not a democracy, right? But our highest form of student leadership are the drum majors. We have 4 drum majors that we have every year. It usually consists of 3 seniors and a junior, so we always have that carryover, but it's not always that way. Like this year, last year, I should say, we had 3 juniors and a senior, just based on the talent pool of who we had, and we felt like those would be the strongest people. So we always try to choose the strongest people for those positions, musically, leadership wise. We want to make sure we get that right. The next level of student leadership are the section leaders, and those are generally seniors. There's usually a few juniors sprinkled in there. But those to get one of those spots, there's an interview process that we do. We actually just completed it online this last week, and we just posted those, as well as the drum major auditions. We kind of do it all at the same shot so that we can kind of make sure that we're getting the right, the right majors. We're not pulling them out of a section leader spot of a thin section or something like that. Let's see, where was I going with that? Yeah, that's basically the structure of the student leadership. And then obviously, we have seniors, juniors, sophomores, and freshmen. I always tell the students that respect is on a parallel level all the way across. It's not that, one level of student leadership is dominating another level. The respect has to be horizontal. Now, obviously, a senior has more authority than a freshman to say something at a certain time, but we want to make sure we all respect each other on the same plane. I should be as respected as any freshman in the group.
That's awesome. That's really good. And how many kids are on your section leader team? You said 4 drum majors. How many kids is that?
Yeah, we usually have between 35 and 40 section leaders. So again, we try to be pretty inclusive with it. We might have 4, 5, 6 section leaders in a section of 20 to 25. So I guess I'd rather give more people the opportunity. And I always reserve the right to remove somebody if they're not living up to those things. We actually have a section leader code of conduct that we have every one of them sign, and then just hang on to. We don't want to have that, but we have them sign it, and it goes through a whole bunch of different things that, when you're a section leader, you're agreeing to being this type of person. You live in a glass house. You have very high expectations, and and people are watching everything you do. I always tell section leaders that your interview process starts when you walk in the door as a freshman. Yeah, it's not that 5-minute interview. We're watching you all the time, and we might say, all right, future section leaders, who's going to help clean up the band room? And it was like, oh, I guess that maybe is me.
And that's part of it. That's true. It's not just that interview part. So, and is there anything else that a kid goes through on your drum major tryouts or section leader process to get selected besides the interview and that ongoing evaluation that we all do in our programs?
Yeah, well, for drum major, it's the components there's a conducting component, and they start on the training about 2 months ahead of time, and they work with the previous drum majors. But there's a conducting component, a marching component. There's obviously the interview component. We want to see a salute. We want to hear vocal commands, see what their voice sounds like, see what they look like, what their presence is. And then obviously we take a lot of things into account, but we would just want to try to choose the best musicians for the job, the best leaders for the job, people who we think are going to come through for us. And then for section leaders, it really is just based on the interview, but again, based on everything that we've observed up to that point. Are they helping out unconditionally? Are they being proactive about things? Are they leading themselves well? And we can see that. We're always assessing.
Cool. And then once they become leaders and they've been given that, I guess what just happened, is there a training process you all go through to get them trained up to be leaders?
We have meetings that we just kind of do it in house actually. So we just talk about what we want to see out of them. We meet before every rehearsal and after every rehearsal as a leadership team, so we can talk about what we want to accomplish, and so that those people are at least on board with achieving that daily goal. And then we talk about afterwards, did we make it as far as we wanted to make it? If not, why? If we did, awesome job, keep pushing hard. And I just want to really try to keep the finger on the pulse of what the feel of the group is at all times. I think it's the best way to do it, just to keep them as involved as possible. Obviously during rehearsal, their main job is to lead by example. Like, how are you responding to whoever has the mic? How are you responding? Are you being a great listener? Is such a big part of being a great leader, I think, is modeling the proper behavior. Because the freshmen are always taking their cues from those student leaders. They're always looking, always watching. Oh, it's all right to talk now? Okay, well then, yeah, I guess I can. But if we always want to make sure that they're modeling at a high level, because everybody else will always come in just a little bit below that, or a lot below that.
Right. Yes. And so when you get into the marching, like summer band camp and marching stuff, you mentioned leading by example. Are there other things that you have them do as leaders and break off into groups or anything in particular?
Yeah.
Stuff.
Yeah. They do break off into groups. This year, we're actually trying a whole new summer system. We're going to have section leaders and upperclassmen doing a buddy system. I know a lot of programs around the country have done that. We have not done that before at Lincoln, but just to hold, just more accountability at the grassroots level. So we're going to do a new system this summer where we have basically a master class with the section tech on Monday. And we basically have an 8-week program leading up until camp, starting June 1st. Section Tech will have a master class. The buddy system then kicks into place, and those kids are expected to communicate with each other between Monday and Wednesday. We're going to have a music component, a marching component, and a conditioning component. They'll have a marching assignment and a music assignment, or marching slash movement assignment. And they will be expected to record a Flipgrid video of themselves executing the music assignment and executing the marching assignment that it'll be due on Wednesday. It's up to the buddy system to hold each other accountable, to make sure that they get across the finish line. Our section techs will then evaluate those videos and either give them a pass or a fail. If they fail it, then they have until Saturday to work on it again, to try one more time. And then the section leaders are going to come in and help the the buddies, along with the drum majors, and just really reach out to the people that are struggling and try to get them across the finish line so that we can move on to the next week. Will it work? I don't know. I hope so. We'll see what happens. But that's kind of how we're going to try to structure our summer, I think, this year virtually. We might find that it's incredibly productive. We might find it's incredibly efficient. We might find that, it's okay. And maybe this married with what we normally do is going to be very effective. I'm assuming that's probably what it's going to turn out to be, but I just don't want to lose ground this year, and I think if we can just hold the kids accountable, personally accountable to each other, I think that's really going to be key this year.
And on a normal year, what would your system or summer look like compared to, you mentioned the 8 weeks program, and how would you use it in a normal program or a normal year?
Yeah, in a normal year, every section, every wind section in the band will have about an hour and a half of music on a Monday or Tuesday, a sectional at the school where their section will meet with the section tech, and they'll just go over music. Every kid gets the entire show, along with the recording of the MIDI recording of their individual part, and the full recording, so they have an idea of what they're shooting for. If they struggle with learning the music, they at least have that guide point. But then we have the professional section techs coming in and working with the students, and then they're helping each other outside of those sectional times. Then there's a visual component where we have the marching tech working with the students, teaching them just a progressive curriculum throughout the summer. Starting with "This is your left foot," and then we get all the way through to the end, and hopefully, they have a pretty good skill set built up by the time they get to camp. We also will do kind of a midsummer full band rehearsal where we get a chance to run things through together for the first time, just to see, so those new members get a chance to feel like, oh, where is this all going? So many of them don't understand where it's going until that first full group rehearsal, and it's just nice to touch base a little bit sooner. And then there's a conditioning component where just doing a certain number of reps of planks and squats and sit-ups and push-ups and just anything that we can do to start building the core, because as you and I both know, this is such an athletic activity. I was just talking about it this morning. I can't think of an activity that requires a higher level of mental and physical energy combined. I don't think there's anything harder than marching band. I really don't. For drumline, percussion meets 3 days a week. Sometimes it's front ensemble, sometimes it's battery, sometimes it's a combination of the two where they're working together. Probably more of that later on in the summer. Color Guard meets 3 days a week as well. They'll have a Color Guard camp in July where they'll be doing actually a couple of camps where they'll be doing a movement camp. They'll be doing just just their camp where they'll start to put together parts of the show, and try to get some of that banged out. So
that's awesome, man. And like, this is a conversation maybe we can have later on too about summer camp. And I know you kind of went into a little bit, but everybody's challenge right now is this: how to deal with band in 2020. In summer band and teaching marching to a freshman who's maybe have two left feet still. Got to get that all sorted out. So there's some great ideas in there. So let's jump into, once you get into marching band season and let's say fall part and contest stuff and football games, any special roles that your kids are asked and your student leaders are asked of?
Really, what we do, obviously during camp and everything, we still have them show up quite a bit earlier than everybody else, just so they're setting that example and staying afterwards, making sure that they're policing the area, cleaning up after we have these tents that we sit under. We just want to make sure that we're leaving all of our environments looking really good. Again, the leadership by example continues to play out with everything that they do in rehearsals, setting the right example, showing up before rehearsals, having a 10-minute meeting before rehearsal, staying after 10 minutes. In performances, we'll break off into sections and they'll just talk about some things before a show that they want their section to hear. and it's individual. Every section has their own challenges, their own unique set of things that they want to have those things at the forefront of their mind before a performance. We don't do probably as much as we should as far as like the section leaders leading music rehearsals, probably because I've seen that not be great, and it's probably from a lack of training on how to handle that. Not every section leader is a great music teacher, so they need to really be coached up on that. Some of them do a fantastic job, some of them just don't. So we do probably less of that, but I would like to maybe get more into that during, before rehearsals, before performances. They will have individual sectionals where they'll just call a sectional and stay after rehearsal. During camp, we have an expectation of every kid having every bit of music memorized by the first day of camp in late July. So everything has to be memorized, and they have a chance to spot check all summer long. After a week, if we haven't gotten through everybody, then we continue to work on that during the camp, and pull people out and just listen to them, go through each one of the show pieces and other extra things that we want to spot check. After the first week, the section leaders and those people that are behind stay for a half hour of their hour and a half lunch. So they start to lose out on time with their friends, on time, and the section leaders get penalized for that, as well as the people who are behind. So it puts pressure on them to get those kids across the finish line, and it works. It's amazing how efficient that is all of a sudden. And we also have rewards. We have a positive reward system. Hey, first section done gets this, with passing everything. So we try to have those incentives out there as well.
Man, it's good stuff. Really good stuff. Anything else during marching season that you ask of your leaders?
Trying to think of anything else that happens other than, if you feel the need to call a sectional and work some stuff out. Every section has their unique challenges, and they'll do that quite frequently. They'll call a sectional, before a rehearsal on a Saturday, or before an evening rehearsal, and just work on a skill that they see as deficient. So we do give them the license to work individually that way. Boy, I'd be really curious to watch some of these other episodes, because I would love to learn what everybody else is doing, during the season. I think there's a lot of stuff out there and a lot of great ideas that just go unnoticed or are just unknown. So I'm looking forward to seeing that.
Yeah, that's one of the best things I've caught on, is everybody has a nugget or several nuggets of information that are valuable that someone else can take and use. And yours too is like, how do you get kids to have their music memorized? Like that might be a method someone grabs onto and uses and utilizes, and in the summer system. So that's what's been great, is to hear the little things that make everybody's program work and how they tie in. Leadership or just the program itself. But yeah, there's some great stuff out there, and some of the things that you're talking about are great nuggets that people can use and probably improve their program or make it more efficient, especially what we're dealing with right now, for sure. So let me ask this. So in Texas, there's a tradition called the Hey Band at football games. So it's and you may have to explain how you do football games up there, and plus it's probably like 20 degrees some of those times, but
sometimes
frozen. But in Texas, a lot of times in some places they'll go across and they do this Hey Band thing, and everybody responds, "Hey what?" from the other school, and everybody kind of knows.
I know that, yeah.
All right. Do you all do anything of that sort at games, or do bands go to games from both sides, or is it just home games?
You know what? We don't actually. We just do home games for our team. We actually have quite a few this year, more than normal. But the only time where all the Sioux Falls schools get together is at an event called President's Bowl. So obviously we live in the Mount Rushmore state. So our high schools in Sioux Falls are Lincoln, Washington, Roosevelt, and now they're just building a Jefferson High School. So we have all the presidents represented, and then we have a private Catholic school that participates in that called O'Gorman. So that's the only, the President's Bowl is the only event where we have both bands on each side, but I know that it's very different than what's done in Texas. So yeah, we could yell, "Hey band," we kind of yell it to each other. They might say, "Hey, Mr. C," you know, and then I have to do some stupid dance at the end, you know, when I get down. It's pretty awesome.
Do you have any shout outs you want to give?
Oh my gosh. Well, I'd be remiss if I didn't shout out my own father, because we taught together forever. I don't know if he'll ever watch this, but maybe he will. So, hey, Dad. And, you know, I say thank you to you for having me, but I always say thanks to my mom for having me, because she had me, you know. So
Right.
that's a big deal, you know. I'll say a shout out to my assistant, Mr. Sam Anderson. So good to see you, man. And oh man, people around the country, how about all the regiment staff, right? All the people that worked with us over the years. Boy, anybody else? I can't really think of anybody else. So I'll shout out those people.
And you have kids that are in your band, graduating for your band, your own kids, is that correct?
Yes, I do. Actually, I have a daughter who's a senior this year. And so she's a part of the infamous class of 2020 that we're not really sure how we're handling it yet, but you know, we're sending out some graduation announcements. And but she's been a 4-year all-stater up here in South Dakota, plays clarinet, and I'll give a shout out to her as well. I'll give a shout out to my 8-year-old in the other room, who's been so patient, putting up with me and everything. How about a shout out to my girlfriend? Hi, Ann. That's good. Let's see. But yeah, so she's a senior this year, and she was a soloist in the band program this last year. So pretty fun.
From the Hey Band folks, congratulations to her on graduating. What a strange graduation all the seniors are going through this year, but congrats and best to her on her future endeavors too. So very cool for you all. Any last words you want to leave us with?
I'll just say, you know, whatever happens in the next few months, just make it great. You know, I mean, we don't have any control over anything that happens, but we do have control of how we react to it. And the kids have control of how they react to it. So I just told my student leaders just in the last week, we have no idea what's going to happen. We might not have a marching season. We might just be sitting in the stands. We might not be able to do anything, but whatever it is, let's just be great at it. And let's just choose to have a great attitude. As my associate says, be cheerful and flexible. And I think that's the best advice that we can use during these crazy times. And, you know, just hang in there, everybody, and take care.
Very good. Well, Dan Carlson, thank you very much for joining the Hey Band Network. It's been great to chat with you, learn a little bit about your program and how you run your leaders, and even a special treat for everybody, a little bit how to deal with summer band virtually this year. So thanks for joining the Hey Band Network.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Chad. Take care, man.